completely saying goodbye to him and saying, hey, listen, my wife has my balls in a sling, and in order for a relationship.
This was the moment the show quietly promised us something it could never keep. A happy plural family, fair rules, safe love, real choice. But what if the very first episode was already hiding the collapse? When Sister Wives opens, the Browns walk into our living room smiling, calm, polished, and strangely confident. Cody stands in the middle of the couch like a proud tour guide. Christine sits close, bright and open. Mary looks steady. Janelle looks practical. And Robin is still a future idea, not a fracture point. The words matter. They keep saying fairness. They keep saying love. They keep saying everyone chooses this life freely. You hear unity. You hear safety. You hear that no one gets left behind. And here is the first quiet pull you probably felt without noticing. Something about how perfectly they say it. You are told this family is different. Not like the scary stories. Not like the headlines. This is organized. Respectful. Gentle. The tone feels protective, like they are guarding something fragile from a world that does not understand them. Stay with this opening because it becomes important later. The way they speak about equality becomes the contract with you. And here is the part that still hits hard when you rewatch it. The show is not asking you to observe. The show is asking you to believe. You are not invited to question the structure. You are invited to admire how well it seems to run. And if you have followed this family for years, you know how heavy that promise becomes. Pay attention to how often they repeat the same idea. No favorites, no hierarchy, no fear, no pressure. The words land softly. They feel rehearsed, but not stiff. They feel practiced. Hold on to that feeling, because it will not survive what comes later. There is a moment in the very first season that looks harmless on the surface. Christine laughs during a couch interview. Her voice lifts. Her face is warm, but her hands are tight in her lap. Her eyes drift away before she finishes her sentence. It lasts maybe 2 seconds. And if you blink, you miss it. This is where the show quietly teaches you how to watch. Look at the smiles, trust the story, move on. But when you come back after everything falls apart, that tiny pause starts to feel louder than the speeches. Another thing you only notice later is how often Christine explains herself. Not defends, explains. Why she believes in this, why this life works, why she is happy here. The others speak about the family. Christine speaks about belonging. That difference matters. Because the early promise of safety is not built on how they live. It is built on how well they describe what they want you to see. And right here, at the very beginning, before betrayal, before isolation, before anger fills every room, there is already a small crack in Christine's smile that the show never slows down to let you hear. So now sit with one uncomfortable thought. Was this family ever truly working, even in the very first episode? Christine does not walk into the early seasons as a rebel. She walks in as a believer. And that difference changes how you read everything she says. From the very first couch interviews, Christine positions herself as the emotional glue. She smiles quickly. She fills silence. She softens awkward moments before they turn heavy. When the family talks about how plural marriage works, she is usually the one translating it into something warm, something human, something you are supposed to feel good about. But then she starts talking about jealousy, and you can hear how carefully she chooses her words. She never says she feels angry. She says she feels embarrassed for feeling hurt. She laughs when she admits she struggles. She frames her pain like a personal flaw, like something she needs to fix inside herself so the family can stay calm. Here is the quiet pressure you start noticing in those early group conversations. Every emotion is allowed, as long as it does not disturb the system. Christine talks openly about how hard it is to share time, attention, and affection. She says she knows she signed up for this. She says she believes in it. She says she is still grateful. But notice the order. First comes loyalty, then comes pain, not the other way around. There is a moment during one of the early group talks where Christine tries to explain how small things build up. Missed visits, short conversations, feeling forgotten during busy weeks. She is not accusing anyone. She is describing how loneliness forms quietly. And this is where emotional competition begins to show its shape. Because the structure does not let her say, I need more. It only lets her say, I need to be better at accepting less. You can feel it when she glances toward Cody before finishing her sentence. You can hear it when she softens her tone halfway through a thought. She keeps checking the room while she talks, not for agreement, for permission. This is where the system does its most invisible work. Christine is sincere. She is not performing rebellion. She is performing adjustment. And if you have followed this show long enough, you know how dangerous that becomes. There is another couch interview where she admits she struggles with feeling unseen. She says it gently, almost apologetically. Her mouth curves upward while her eyes do not follow. She explains how hard she tries to stay positive so no one feels uncomfortable. Listen closely to that line. So no one feels uncomfortable. Not so she feels safe. Not so she feels heard. So the room stays steady. Here is the part that hits harder on rewatch. No one interrupts her. No one leans in. The conversation moves forward like her words were a speed bump, not a warning sign. And yet, she keeps trying. She keeps translating pain into understanding. She keeps turning disappointment into self-work. She keeps defending the structure even while it quietly drains her. There is a small moment during a group conversation where Christine begins explaining herself again. You can see it coming. The soft laugh, the long sentence, the careful tone. Then her voice cracks. It is fast. It is not dramatic. She stops and for the first time in the early seasons, she does not rush to fix the silence she created. She just looks down. Why does she keep defending something that keeps hurting her? Cody does not walk into family meetings like a partner. He walks in like the temperature of the room depends on him. In the early seasons, every serious conversation starts the same way. Everyone gathers. The wives sit close, angled toward him. Cody stands, paces, or leans forward with his hands on his knees. He controls when the topic starts. He controls when it ends. And most of the time, he controls how uncomfortable the room is allowed to become. This is not loud authority. It is emotional authority. When rules come up, whether it is schedules, time with kids, moving plans, or house routines, he speaks in calm, decisive bursts. He frames decisions as group choices. But watch how the sentences land. He announces. He explains. Then, he waits. Not for votes, for reactions. Here is the first quiet signal. When a wife agrees quickly, his tone softens. His face opens. He leans back. When a wife hesitates, his jaw tightens. His voice flattens. He begins repeating the same point, slower each time, like the delay itself is the problem. This is where affection turns into currency. During several early confrontations, you can watch how fast warmth disappears when someone challenges him. He does not shout. He withdraws energy. He shortens answers. He avoids eye contact. He shifts his body away. It feels subtle, but in a family built around shared access to one husband, distance carries weight. Christine senses this immediately. So does Janelle. Mary knows it better than anyone. There is one family meeting where a wife tries to push back on a plan that clearly affects her daily life. Her voice stays even. She says she is not comfortable. She says she needs more time. She does not attack him. Cody's posture changes. He straightens, his shoulders square, his smile fades. He tilts his head and asks one short question. Quiet and sharp. The room stills. And suddenly the conversation is no longer about the plan. It becomes about tone, about attitude, about being supportive. He reframes disagreement as resistance to family unity. He wraps his frustration in language about leadership and responsibility. He keeps saying what is best for everyone, but notice who keeps adjusting. The wives explain. They soften. They qualify. They remind him they believe in the family. They do emotional labor to repair tension they did not create. Another moment hits even harder on rewatch. A wife begins to describe how a rule makes her feel isolated. Cody listens for a few seconds. Then he interrupts. Not angrily, confidently. He corrects her interpretation of her own experience. You see it in her face. Confusion first, then hesitation, then retreat. Because in this family, approval flows downward, and disapproval moves fast. Christine watches these exchanges closely. Her body stays still. Her hands fold. Her smile comes back a second too late. By the end of the meeting, the wife who raised the concern shifts her language. She says she understands. She says she supports the decision. She nods. Cody relaxes. His voice lifts. The warmth returns to the room. Nothing changed. Except her. Is this leadership or emotional control hiding in plain sight? Robin does not enter this family quietly. But the shift she brings is, at first, the story is framed as expansion. More love. More support. A bigger family. The early courtship is filmed like a hopeful reset. Cody is lighter. He laughs more. He explains his feelings with an excitement the audience has not really seen before. And the rest of the family is asked to celebrate it. During the engagement and the lead up to the wedding, something small but important changes in how conversations move. Cody starts speaking in private language inside public group talks. He refers to things he and Robin have already discussed. Decisions feel partially settled before anyone else sits down. The room begins catching up to a story that already happened somewhere else. This is where emotional access becomes uneven. Robin gets time that is not negotiated on camera. She gets emotional processing that happens off-screen and then gets presented as a finished conclusion to the group. The other wives are reacting. Robin is participating earlier in the emotional timeline. You can feel it during family discussions. The pace is different. The patience is different. The emotional temperature bends toward one person. And Christine feels it immediately. Not because she is dramatic, because she understands the emotional economy of this family better than most. Christine tries to stay aligned. She smiles through announcements. She nods during explanations. She speaks carefully so she does not sound jealous. But the effort shows. Her voice tightens when Robin's name comes up. She pauses longer before answering simple questions. There is a group scene where the wives are talking about the upcoming wedding. Everyone is being polite, supportive, saying the right words. Christine is doing the same. But she keeps looking down. Not at notes. Not at the kids. At the floor. And the camera holds on her just long enough for you to see the strain in her face before she lifts her smile again. This is not rivalry. This is displacement. Because Robin is not just entering the family, she is entering Cody's emotional center. And that quietly rearranges everyone else. Christine starts unraveling in small ways. She becomes more self-aware about her jealousy. She talks about it before anyone accuses her of it. She apologizes for feelings before anyone tells her they are inconvenient. That is not manipulation. That is survival. There is one on-camera admission that lands differently now. Christine says she feels replaced. Then she immediately laughs at herself. Then she says she feels ashamed for even thinking it. Her eyes shine. Her mouth keeps smiling. Her shoulders pull inward. She does not ask for reassurance. She asks for forgiveness. What happens when loyalty starts to compete with survival? The Vegas years are where the show finally breathes. 4 homes, 1 street, short drives, open doors, group dinners, kids running between houses. It looks like the solution everyone waited for. The language changes here. They stop talking about surviving. They start talking about independence. Each wife has her own kitchen, her own schedule, her own space. The cameras frame it as progress, as proof that plural marriage can modernize itself. They talk about how much happier they are, how much calmer life feels, how much stronger the family is now. This is the illusion of stability, because comfort is not the same thing as closeness. Watch the group gatherings in Vegas. They still happen. Holidays, birthdays, big tables, loud rooms. But the emotional center is thinner. Conversations stay lighter. Personal struggles are shortened. Nobody pushes very hard for depth. It looks peaceful. It also looks carefully managed. Christine talks about how nice it is to finally have her own house, her own routines, her own control over her space. She says it feels healthier. She says it helps her stay grounded. And she means it. But listen to how the word independence is used. It replaces together. It replaces shared responsibility. It replaces emotional mess. The family celebrates that everyone can function on their own now, that nobody has to lean too much on anyone else. Which sounds strong, until you realize how quietly that rewrites what this family was supposed to be. The show keeps presenting Vegas as success. Public interviews lean into it. Cody talks about how well the system is working. The wives talk about personal growth, about balance, about how far they have come. But behind that calm language, something else starts showing up. Exhaustion. Not dramatic, not explosive, just low and constant. You can hear it when they talk about schedules, about driving, about coordinating kids, about how hard it still is to line up time. The logistics never disappear. They only get more organized. And that organization creates distance. Each house becomes its own emotional bubble. You start seeing fewer unplanned moments, fewer raw conversations, more updates instead of shared experiences. They inform each other about their lives. They do not really live inside each other's days anymore. This is also where financial pressure quietly enters the background. 4 mortgages, 4 households, 4 sets of expenses. The stress is not always spoken clearly, but it hangs in how often they reference budgets, how often decisions get framed as practical instead of emotional, how often the future is described as something they need to manage carefully. The family looks stable, the structure feels heavy, and Christine feels it. There is a soft scene in Vegas that does not get treated like a big moment. She talks about how close the houses are, how nice it is that everyone lives nearby now, how the kids move freely between homes. Then she admits something small. She says she still feels lonely. Not abandoned, not angry, lonely, even with everyone just steps away. She smiles when she says it. She shrugs slightly, like she is embarrassed to admit that space and privacy did not solve the part that hurt. The camera does not linger long, but it does not need to. Because by this point in the story, everyone sounds calmer. They also sound tired. If they were finally safe, why does everyone still sound so tired? The move to Flagstaff does not feel like growth. It feels like urgency. After the calm rhythm of Vegas, everything suddenly speeds up. Meetings pile up, house tours blur together, deadlines appear out of nowhere. The family starts speaking in pressure language. We have to decide. We cannot wait. This is the right time. But no one ever really finishes the sentence. For who? The chaos shows up immediately. Rentals fall through. Kids are unsettled. Wives scramble to find houses that will even take them. The move itself looks messy, but the emotional fallout is worse. Everyone is reacting instead of choosing. When Coyote Pass enters the picture, it is framed as a dream. Open land, shared future, a fresh start that will finally bring the family back together. But listen carefully to how those conversations actually go. Cody talks in certainty. The wives talk in concerns. He describes the vision. He moves pieces around in his head and presents the outcome as if it is already decided. When questions come up about finances, timelines, or who lives where, his answers stay vague but confident. It will work. We will figure it out. This is what we need to do. Christine does not match his pace. In multiple meetings about the property, you can see her pulling back. She asks about how long it will take. She asks what happens if plans fall apart again. She asks how the kids are supposed to keep adjusting. She is not fighting the land. She is fighting instability. And that difference matters. There is a sharp change in how disagreements feel in Flagstaff. In Vegas, discomfort was softened. In Flagstaff, it becomes friction. When Christine expresses hesitation, Cody grows impatient. He interrupts more, he sighs, he reframes her fear as resistance. He keeps pushing forward. The move becomes a solution to problems no one has fully named. Another house will fix it. Another property will fix it. Another reset will fix it. But the emotional damage is already visible. Christine starts talking less in group settings. Her reactions get shorter. Her eyes drop more often. When plans shift again, she does not argue as hard. She looks tired. There is one moment during a Coyote Pass discussion where Christine simply sits back in her chair. Everyone is talking over maps and lot lines. Cody is energized. He gestures across the land like it already belongs to his future. Christine says nothing. She watches. The uncertainty sits on her face in a way the camera does not try to soften. And while Cody keeps building forward in his head, Christine is left waiting inside a decision she did not truly make. Who is this move really for? Christine does not fall apart loudly. She disappears. By the time the cameras reach the later Flagstaff seasons, her energy has changed in a way that is impossible to miss once you know how to look. She sits farther back. Her shoulders fold inward. Her hands stay busy in her lap. She stops filling silence. Public Christine is still polite, still soft, still careful with her words. Private Christine starts leaking through the cracks. When she speaks about intimacy, she does not circle the topic anymore. She names it. She says she feels unwanted. She says she feels rejected. Not just physically. Emotionally. The way she says it is flat. There is no edge left in her voice. This is not anger. This is resignation. Earlier, Christine tried to translate pain into growth. Now she simply reports it. There is one on-camera conversation where she explains that she no longer feels like a wife. She says she feels more like a roommate. The words land heavy because she does not soften them. No nervous laugh, no quick recovery smile. She looks down before she finishes the sentence. Her body language tells a different story than her old interviews. She barely gestures. She keeps her arms close to herself. When Cody speaks in the same scene, she does not track him with her eyes. She stares at the floor. This is what emotional withdrawal looks like. The identity erosion is quiet. Christine built her place in this family on emotional labor, on being warm, on making the system feel livable, on holding the group together when tension showed. Now, she does none of that. Public Christine still shows up for filming. She still answers questions carefully. She still avoids open confrontation. Private Christine has already stepped away. You can hear the split in how she talks about herself. Before, it was we. We are working on things. We are trying to grow. Now it becomes I. I do not feel safe. I do not feel wanted. I do not know where I fit. That shift is not just language. It is separation. There is a moment that lands quietly but cuts deep. Christine admits that she no longer believes intimacy will return. Not because of a fight, not because of a single event, because she has accepted the pattern. Her face does not change when she says it. That is the part that hurts most. Later, in a soft, almost private tone during a sit-down interview, she says she feels done. Not angry, not dramatic, done. She does not look relieved. She looks clear. How long has she been finished? By the time the pandemic hits, the cracks in the family are no longer subtle. The rules appear everywhere. Masks, distancing, separate mealtimes, and rigid schedules replace casual interaction. The cameras catch it all, and it is unsettling to watch. What was once a family rhythm now feels like surveillance. Christine and Janelle clash repeatedly over the rules. Every disagreement stretches across rooms, echoing through empty spaces that used to feel warm. Their voices rise. Christine questions the fairness of restrictions. Janelle defends compliance. Both try to hold the moral high ground, but frustration seeps through. The tension is visible in every glance, every pause, every clipped sentence. Robin steps in at points, her presence a mirror of the imbalance. She is neither fully aligned nor fully apart. She is careful, protective of her position, observing where the fault lines run. Her calm sometimes eases friction, but it also exposes who is winning the silent battles for favor. Affection, approval, and attention are no longer subtle. Now they are the currency of survival. Family meetings devolve quickly. The rules become symbols of control rather than protection. Christine challenges them, and the pushback is immediate. Cody's voice grows firm. The authority is no longer hidden. The wives react with a mix of fear, fatigue, and resignation. During one explosive conversation, Christine cannot hide the weight anymore. She snaps, her voice shaking but pointed. Janelle pushes back. Robin watches carefully, aware of the stakes. The argument ends, but not before everyone feels the fracture in the system. Is this still a family or only a hierarchy? The moment Christine tells Cody she is leaving is quiet, almost understated, but every word carries weight. Her tone is calm, measured, and steady, but behind it lies years of resignation and silent endurance. She does not plead. She does not argue. She simply states a truth that has been building for seasons. Cody's reaction is immediate, sharp, and raw. His eyes widen. His voice falters. The control he held so carefully begins to slip. He struggles to process her calmness, as if expecting anger or tears, but Christine gives none. She does not perform for him or the cameras. She simply speaks from a place of clarity he cannot reach. As this unfolds, flashbacks creep in. The commitment ceremony. The vows exchanged years earlier. The smiles, the promises of unity, the rituals meant to signal permanence. But now, with hindsight, every frame feels hollow. What the audience once saw as devotion now reads as performance. The marriage, the unity, the ceremony, it ended long before the cameras captured it. Christine stands alone after delivering the news. Her posture is upright, her voice is steady, yet there is a tremor beneath the surface, the subtle shake of someone who has carried too much for too long. The system she once upheld has unraveled. The narrative she helped sustain can no longer hold her. Or the truth. If the marriage ended, what exactly is the show still filming? After Christine steps away, the house feels emptier than ever. The cameras still roll, but the energy has shifted. Mary drifts further into isolation, retreating into routines that barely connect her with anyone else. Her laughter is sparse, the smiles measured, a shield against the weight of the household. Janelle holds herself at a distance too, careful not to get drawn into arguments that feel increasingly futile. The unity the family once claimed is gone, replaced by quiet walls and unspoken tension. Robin positions herself carefully, as she has for years, framing her emotions for the cameras, protecting her role, managing Cody's reactions, and holding space for the children. Her calm is calculated, a defense against chaos, yet even she cannot hide the strain. Every interaction becomes a negotiation. Affection, approval, and attention circulate like currency. And the cost of misstep is clear. Cody's anger and blame surface with more intensity than before. The absence of Christine exposes cracks in his control. He lashes out in ways small and large, directing frustration at the remaining wives, at circumstances, and at the cameras that will forever record his image. But his authority is no longer absolute. Each wife navigates the household with caution, knowing that survival depends on compliance. Yet, private moments reveal the cost of pretending to be fine. Through all this, the cameras capture not only the people, but the system itself. The show is no longer about plural marriage or family love. It is about the structure that allowed manipulation to persist, about loyalty traded for survival, and about the slow erosion of identity when performance replaces authenticity. Christine's departure highlights this pattern. The show is a machine that can keep spinning even when its original foundation has collapsed. Christine chooses peace over performance. She leaves the stage behind, retreats from the cycles of expectation, and finally claims a life where her voice and her truth are her own. She steps away from contracts, cameras, and control, and in doing so, she reveals the moral heart of the story. So I ask you, in families, in systems we think we know, how much of what we defend is survival, and how much is truth? How long do we stay loyal to patterns that hurt us while pretending they are love? The fractures continue, the cameras keep rolling, and the story doesn't stop here. Who will bend, who will break, and who will finally speak their own truth?